Okay, so you have your pictures ready? Alright, I got my pictures. Let's do this thing. Okay, so what I got is a way overexposed shot that looks like a nuclear holocaust went out in my backyard, so I'm not going to choose that. I'm going to choose the one step below that. Okay, and then I'm going to look around. This one's got some discoloration to it, this one right here. The one just before it doesn't. So I'm actually going to merge maybe more than three here because I got a pretty fast system. Just keep in mind, if you don't have a fast system, don't try this. Another thing is, if there was any movable items, HDR cannot shoot motion at all. Okay, so if there was somebody streaking in your living room or wherever you shot, you'll have a ghost that goes across here. So don't get that. Okay, so I got this one. I got this one. Another thing is, since I don't have any movement, I can choose several files. If you have a little bit of movement, like if you shot a tree outside right now, the leaves move just a little bit, right? So don't choose six of these to do because I guarantee the wind moved one of those leaves just a little bit and it will be very blurry and distracting looking. So there's that one, that one. I'm going to choose a darker image now, probably this one, and now even a darker one, and I'm going to choose something right here. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, again, I wouldn't choose that if you had a slow system. And that'll give me some time to talk to you about HDR goodness. Okay, so we're going to go to Tools, Merge to HDR. Now, how does HDR work? Okay, while this is going, I'll babble. HDR works like this. We, as humans, actually can see probably well over 27 f-stops. Okay. The problem with a camera, it roughly shoots about 5.6 f-stops. So what'll happen is, in order to compensate for that, we must merge several different lighting on several different channels, making this huge bit ratio. Because okay, your average JPEG coming out of a camera is only 8-bit. Okay. Your high def stuff is 16-bit. Okay. This is a 32-bit file, so it has many, many, many layers. Think of it as cellophane. Okay, you're putting a picture on one layer of cellophane with lighting. You're putting another picture of lighting with cellophane over and over and over again, all the way back, and all that information gets tagged into one file. 32-bit files are amazing. The problem is they are really hard to edit. So we're going to make a 32-bit HDR here, but then we're going to lower it down to a 16-bit HDR because of the simple fact that, well, what are we going to do with 32-bit? Plus, 32-bit looks awful freaking ugly. So you'll see that here in a second. And it's still going. It's alright, I could talk all day. I can't think of anything to say. Oh yeah, your lens. If you want good HDR, what I highly suggest is get rid of your Nikon lens that came with it, the stock lens, and get yourself one that's called VR. Okay, vibration reduction. So it'll have VR on it. VR will cut back on the fact that there is things in the background moving. Trees blowing, leaves blowing, all this good stuff happens a little slower with the VR. Another thing is when you're changing the button, nobody on the face of the earth has the ninja ability to change the button on the Nikon camera without moving the camera just a skosh of a decacentimeter. Okay, so the vibration reduction will actually compensate for that. So that's another thing. Don't use too much depth of field. Depth of field kind of looks ugly with HDR for some reason. It's probably because, you know, one thing that's blurry in the background, by the time you actually go into the background, like that window, the window I couldn't see out of it. So when I was in the back of the room and I was exposuring my way to the front of the room, if it had any depth of field, that would have been useless. The window would have been a big blob. So I would stay away from depth of field with HDR. If you feel like you need to add some depth of field later on, there's the magical blur tool in Photoshop. Works wonders. Alright, so I'm done babbling. What I'll do is I'll cut the video and let this cook and then come back.